So, hello, Selena.
Hi.
It's really good that we finally got to talk. We've been trying to pin down a time for about 3 months, I think.
That's
Um,
entirely my fault. I apologize.
which makes me think you've been a very busy lady.
Yes, I have.
So, I thought a good place to start would be for you to tell us what you've been busy doing and describe in some way what you do.
So, oh, where do I begin? Um, a few years ago, I started a new business. So I've been running my own businesses in the world of helping people create careers and businesses and lives that they love for now over 10 years, unbelievably to me. Um, but about 4 years ago, I started a new venture with a friend of mine called Project Love. And Project Love is for women. It's to help women, to empower and inspire women to create lives and relationships that they love. So it really started off actually as I met Vicky, and she had a real gift for helping people in their love lives, and she really wanted to turn it into her career. And so she came to see me and said, I want to do what you do, but for love and relationships. And I had got to a place in my life where I had been trying so hard to sort out my love life, um, but just in all the wrong ways. It certainly wasn't working. And I said, okay, I tell you what, you coach me. And she'd been studying NLP and EFT and things like that, that helped kind of sort of rewire your brain, look at things in a different perspective, deal with anxieties and fears and doubts on a kind of physical way. Try these things out on me. If you can help me, you can help anyone. And in the meantime, I'm going to help you with, how do you apply kind of coaching principles to it? How would you start building a business? So it was a really nice swap. Anyway, cut to 6 months later, and my whole outlook on love and relationships had completely transformed. I was still single. Wasn't like, ta-da, I had a boyfriend. But I was feeling really positive about my love life. I understood actually that I hadn't been ready for a proper relationship before, and now I felt really ready. I felt like I was in the right place. I got it. I could sense it within me, but also intellectually I now understood, because I had really looked into what it takes to be open to love and open to receiving love and finding the right partner. And so we thought, wow, we've really learned such important lessons here that so many other women we felt could benefit from, that we decided to start and run a little pilot course called Get Ready for Love. That went really well. We did that with about 12 women. We sent out Valentine's cards for Valentine's Day and invited them to join us on this journey. It went really well, and then that was kind of the beginning. We then reached out and invited more women to do it and started Project Love. And it just immediately, like nothing else I've started before, and I've started other businesses before, nothing has taken off as quickly as this did. It feels like, or it felt like, there was a real gap where we needed to have intelligent conversations about love and relationships. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there on how to catch a man and keep him, which in this day and age is just boggles the mind that even exists, and how popular it is. And there was a lot of stuff from America, from kind of really great, inspiring, but sort of middle-aged couples, which didn't really speak to the modern women that we knew. And we felt that and it seems that the press and other people were feeling the same. So when we came along, they were like, oh, brilliant. So it's just really took off. And so now, 3 or 4 years later, I'm not even sure what it is, we're now both working on this full time. So that really started at the start of this year. We were running a course called Design a Life You Love, which brings in all my life design tools and lessons that I've been teaching over the last 5 years. So yeah, prior to that, I've been a career coach and a life design coach. So I help people to figure out what they want to do with their career, if they want to start a business, how to do that, but also just general how to create a life that you love. So I'm now managing to bring it all under the umbrella of Project Love. But really, what excites me about this is working with women and sort of exploring and then helping women to really step into their own power and to figure out what is going to really make them happy and fulfilled in life. And I think we've got a really interesting challenge as women in this day and age, in our culture and society, to really take things to a place we've never had the opportunity to do before. So yeah, so there's lots of stuff going on, and we're probably writing a book this year. So we got that in the pipeline as well. So yeah, and writing is my absolute passion. So that means I've got more time for for writing, which is good.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying is, yeah, I mean, it really ticks a lot of boxes. And I think in all aspects of life, there needs to be more of a move from competition to collaboration in sort of some kind of way, rather than, yeah, I'm going to win that and keep that, and it's going to be mine. It's like, oh, well, there's something, how can I work with it? Or, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And also it's very much about opening up to allow things into your life. I think we don't realize how much we might say we want something, but actually how much at the same time we're blocking it without realizing it. And that was definitely my case in the case of love. But you can have that in any area you look at. You often find when people say, I really want that, whether it's money or a job that you love, or to be living a different kind of lifestyle, anything that you want different in your life, and you say you want it so much, you'll often find that you're actually blocking it. You're not actually allowing that into your life, and because so much of it is about your mindset and your beliefs. And so in whatever area I'm working with people in, we always take a look at that first. It's like, right, we need to get clear on what negative and limiting beliefs have been holding you back up until this point, and clear them out of the way so that you can. So you're making choices and taking action that will take you to where you want to, because now you believe in it, and that has to come first.
Yeah, absolutely. So where you are now, did you have a clear path to get there?
No.
I think I know the answer to this, but
no, I mean, sort of yes and no. A clear path would be that when I left university, I knew that I was going to do all the many, many different steps that I took. So, I mean, with a brief overview of where my career has gone, I started off in marketing, got what I thought was my dream job, marketing for an environmental magazine. Quickly realized that working in an office, having a boss, sticking to a 9-to-5 thing was it's just like I'd had enough of that at school. I didn't want the rest of my life to be a repetition of that. I knew I had to do things differently, had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. But I knew I wanted to do work that fulfilled me. A lot of people said I was being idealistic, I was being a dreamer, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to prove you all wrong, and I'm going to go and do it. So it was quite good that I had this defiance in me. So off I went. But really, I mean, I knew I wanted to write and I knew I wanted to paint. That's what I told my mum. She was like, oh, God, what are you going to do? But what I did actually do is, first of all, decided to really explore and experiment and just try things out. And I thought, I heard of this notion of Renaissance, the new Renaissance man or woman who has many different strings to their bow and doesn't have one way of making a living, but can be painting or writing or doing marketing or doing all sorts of things. So I did events. I worked for a literary agent for a bit. I forgot about that. I made burritos in a market in East London. I worked at festivals serving ice creams. I made jewelry. I taught Spanish, did loads and loads of different things. And I also met a guy at that time who was wanting to create an online create a website that helped people to change career. And my whole thing was, I want to go and find a world where people do what they love. And I want to be among these people, learn from them, absorb their ways so that I find a way of working that I love. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show anyone who else wants to do that how they can do it too. I didn't realize, as I was sort of saying that in those early days, that I was basically sort of setting out the whole intention of my career, and that's what my career became, to doing exactly that. And I did speak to a life coach really early on, actually, and I was like, oh, but I said no. And I said to her, but there's such a stigma attached around life coaching. She's like, is there? I was like, yeah, don't you know about that? I was like, oh God, no. And also I was 26. I was like, who's going to listen to a 26-year-old who's fresh out of university and knows nothing about the world? So I kind of also knew that if I was going to do that, and then it did appeal, that I would have to go and get some life experience, really. So that kind of, so I did. I went and got life experience, quite a lot of life experience, hard and fast, and fell flat on my face a few times. But in that time, we were building this website called Career Shifters. So some of you might have heard of careershifters.org. So I was one of the co-founders of that. And so part of that was to really interview hundreds of people who've made successful career changes and career coaches who were the experts to really start to understand what were the key stages of making a career change and figuring out what kind of career is going to suit you and then making that happen. So that, and in doing that, then I kind of, after 3 years, I was one of the experts because now I really understood it.
Yeah.
And I was running workshops on it, and I had this wonderful portfolio career of all these fantastic different things that I did. And then one day I had a go at coaching, doing one-to-one coaching. And actually the first time I did coaching, I was like, I'm not doing that again. But the second time I did it, something really special happened with that person I was coaching, and I just came away going, this is the work I was born to do. There's really, it was allowing me to use intuitive skills that up until then had kind of, they didn't really know what to do with them, didn't really know what was going on, why was I sensing things from people and feeling things that they weren't talking about and all that stuff. I thought I was making it up. Nowadays, I'm like, well, that's just your intuition, and you use it like any hard skill.
Yeah.
But in those days, I sort of, it was this sort of new, wonderful way of using that kind of untapped, not talent, I'm not going to call it talent, but skill that I had. So that's, and then I kind of moved into doing coaching full time, and I collaborated with lots of people, authors of books, Screw Work, Let's Play, Free Range Humans. That was great. Doing online courses. I've always loved designing and leading online courses, taking people on a journey that helps to transform their lives or inspire them or helps them to make changes in their life. And I've been using all of that into Project Love. So so did I know from the start that you can look, it's so easy to look back and go, well, I had that conversation with a life coach. You can see it makes sense. I'm not surprised I ended up doing what I did. But when I first left university 10 years ago, online courses, being an entrepreneur was looked down upon. Being a life coach was sniffed at. I mean, I can't even say the words. Having a living where you run online courses, people would have thought, we were like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So the career that I have today and the business that I have today almost wasn't really yet a possibility 10 years ago. So I couldn't even have imagined that. But I guess if you said to my friends and family, will Selena have a career where she predominantly talks? You wouldn't be surprised. So, but no, I think what's the Apple guy called?
Oh, it's a Steve Jobs quote, isn't it? Around joining the dots. You only see the dots joining up when you look backwards. He didn't say it like that. He said it better. Yeah.
But exactly. But that's the kind of and that's why when people tell their story, it sounds so linear.
Yeah.
I did this, and then I did this, and then it's the natural thing to do this. They don't tell you about the back and forth and the confusion and the messiness and the thinking you made a huge mistake and the huge doubt and the freaking out that this is the right thing. No, it is the right thing. I don't know. And, now I'm in a place where I know what I love what I do. I've got a stability around my business and my career, but that has taken time. That has definitely taken time. And I'm a real advocate of explore and experiment. And that journey needs to go on for a good few years as you're really finding your groove and finding your thing. And also, I would not be surprised if in 5 years' time I go through another, sort of shift in what I'm doing or shift in my focus or still using a lot of the core skills and my experience. But, I think we need to be prepared for the fact that these days we are going to change career at least once, if not a number of times. Certainly should be evolving with our careers if we want to maintain a fulfillment.
And I think there's some, I was going to say, do you feel like this is the end, this is it? And obviously it's not.
What a horrible thing to say.
I don't mean that in a bad way. This is really what I want to do, and I'm doing it. And because I think I've been striving almost to find that thing where I get there and I think, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. And now I can just do this and I don't have to think or worry about it anymore. But in exploring different options, I actually find it quite freeing. And I'm almost now thinking, I don't know if I want to get there. Well, that might be quite dull if I find I get there and then that's it. This is just what I do now. So I think, yeah, there's some excitement and a lot of interest in trying new things and tweaking things and settling for a bit, but then thinking, oh, maybe there's something else I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, look, different personality types suit different things, and my personality type is one that loves variety, loves new things, shiny new things all the time.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful with that to make sure I'm not constantly jumping off to the next new shiny thing. But even people who like security and stability and like a kind of more routine, I'm going to say repetitive to me just sounds like death, but that's only because I hate anything repetitive. But some people like going into the same office every day. They like the structure of having a schedule and having things that sort of a rhythm. But even if you're that type and you're not driven by the desire for change and variety, you still, every human being comes alive with learning and growing. There is no personality type that is like, yeah, pretty much from the age of 25 they should go nowhere, they should just stay put because that's going to make them happy. No personality type has that inbuilt. Every personality type, even the ones that like familiarity and things like that, they still need to grow and evolve. So even if someone is an accountant for their whole life, I would be very surprised if they didn't enjoy finding new systems that make things more efficient, or finding new ways of doing things, or finding new ways of helping their customers understand, that kind of stuff. Even if it might be every day wanting to innovate, but to just stay using the same systems through your entire life would definitely make someone go into like numb mode. They would just be on automatic pilot and would not be required to do any new thinking. And that's not what makes people come alive, no matter what their preferences are.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think that in terms of, is this it? There's kind of two things to it. I've definitely found something that I want to dedicate myself to for an indefinite period of time. It involves, the work that I do today involves collaboration. It involves freedom. It involves writing. I help to inspire people, and I am inspired. It involves community. It involves taking people on journeys, designing courses. I love doing that stuff. It involves coaching. It involves teaming up with people that inspire me. So there's all of these different ingredients combined that make me a very happy person on a day-to-day basis to be doing it. So in terms of finding work that I love, I've definitely settled in something, and it's also something that's now providing me with a salary where, there's definitely room for growth, but I can live pretty well off this for now. So I'm not sort of like, God, how am I going to touch wood? Because you never know. When you're running your own business, you really never know. It's not like having a standard paycheck month in, month out, but there's now a stability to it. And so I'm not having to. And I think before, the instability was the income, never knowing from one month to the next where my money was going to come from, because it came from individual clients. Sorry, there's a whole school load of people going by, if you can hear cackling laughter in the background. It's just kids. So yeah, a lot of my need for constantly like growth and changing things up and finding new solutions was driven by needing a financial stability. Now I've got that, I feel that has helped me to sit down and relax. So some people have that earlier on. So quite a lot of time you get people who actually go, do you know what? There are a lot of elements I like about my day job, and if I could do it 3 days a week, I quite enjoy going in, getting it done. It engages me. I enjoy the game of it, the challenge of it. I enjoy what I do. I like being amongst people, but I'd also like 2 days a week where I go and I write novels, for example. Now, with that, it means that you've already got the financial stability from your 3-day a week. And then the writing novels or whatever it is you're doing doesn't need to make you any money. So you already have that stability and therefore that freedom around what you do. So it's for different people, it takes different amounts of time to get into the financial stability of how they're living and working and earning a living.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you're working with people that inspire you. Are there any particular name checks you want to throw out there, from the whole of your career journey around who's inspired you or the kind of people that have inspired you?
Well, the Marianne Cantwell, who you know because you've done courses with us, she's been the most inspiring when it comes to creating a business from the heart and a business that really suits you. So she's and actually she's also inspiring in that she's constantly evolving and bringing new things into her work. So she's been running Free Range Humans for about 8 years, I think, or 7 years. And each year that we work together, she brings something new to it. And I like to think that I also do. I'm, bringing new kind of conversations and new insights myself, and we keep bringing more stuff into the courses that we do together. But her one recently was a thing about business models. And often you'll go, for example, right, I want to be a career coach. Well, this is the business model. Or I want to, I don't know, be a virtual assistant. Right, this is the business model. And actually she goes, no, that's not how to do it. You go, what's your personality like? What is your business? What money do you want to make? Right, we're going to create a business model that works for you, not just an out of the box for this career. It's this business model. And I don't know anywhere else that I'm hearing that. And she inspires me both in how to run a business, and she's now also she's our business mentor for Project Love as well. So we hired her because she's the best person I know at that kind of stuff. So yeah, her approach to business and her approach to her own career she's been the most inspiring one. I'm trying to think who else. In terms of someone that people will know, that's probably the only one. So yeah, Marianne Cantwell.
Big name check there for Marianne and Free Range Humans.
Exactly.
So what are your future challenges and plans? Kind of, I guess, in life and business, or maybe they're all one.
Well, they're not all one, actually. You know what's interesting is that I this year my focus is on really breathing more life and into my home life, because I had a baby 18 months ago, so baby and a business and a relationship and now and again a social life. Now I also enjoy my social life. Having all those things, I sort of neglected my home life. Kind of became just the place that I go and lay my head and eat some food if I remember, and and I started to realize actually I wasn't excited about our home life. And so I would come home and, what should I do? I'll just do some more work.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on? So this year is about, my intention for 2017 is to really create my life as a space in which I can flourish. And a lot of that is looking at home. So as soon as we decided, right, and also there was a certain amount of us, me and my partner, missing the life that we had had before becoming parents. And so we said, right, what we need to do is aim to create a life for ourselves that's even better than one we had before we became parents. And we love being parents, but it sort of limits you on what else you can do outside of that. And so we right, we're going to move house. We're going to go to an area that we really love and get a bigger house so I can have space for a study and he can have space for his workspace, and we can have a garden for the baby. Less of a baby now, more of a little boy. So yeah, it's been interesting that while work has kind of gone up a level, rather than just becoming completely swamped by that, I'm pulling myself out and actually going, hold on, equally important is my home life, and really cultivating that and nourishing that. And that's had a really positive effect on me in taking my work being less obsessed about that, and being less absorbed in that. so less stressed about that actually, because I've got it more in perspective. So that's the real focus of mine, but also Project Love, writing a book this year, fingers crossed. We've got a literary agent and we're going to approach publishers soon. So that could take a bit of time. And then, Project Love, we've got a course, a program that is launching in June, but I can't say anything more than that. So that's very exciting. So so it's just kind of finding fun ways to get out there and reach out to more people as well. The big challenge and the big game. And I've never been actually that good at that. I've always relied on teaming up with other people that are good at that, or word of mouth, which is fine, but it only gathers a small crowd, which I would be perfectly happy with. But I'm not bothered by big numbers, but in terms to have a sort of sustainable business, need to. So, but I'm approaching that as, okay, let's get interested in this and find a way of doing this that I really enjoy and is really fun. And that's where Marianne Cantwell helps to inspire me, because she takes marketing and sales and turns it into a fun game, and creating party vibe online, and if that's your vibe, and attracting people that way. So it's a lot of what I found with business and life perhaps as well. It's a lot of unlearning and then relearning, aligning yourself to a way of thinking that actually really excites you, rather than going, we get it, better do this because that's what you're supposed to do. Constantly remembering to question, well, hang on, where are you getting that from? Why do you think that's the way to do it? Why are you resigning yourself to that?
And definitely it's am I having fun doing this? Because when you've made the decision to do your own thing, if you're suddenly not enjoying it, it is either, why aren't I enjoying it? Is it the thing I'm doing, or is it how I'm doing it? And that's quite a useful thing that I remind myself of. It's like, is this fun? Oh, well, it would be if I did it like this.
Yeah, and I think you're in a really interesting sort of transition phase yourself, in terms of you're figuring out what it is you want to do, and you're on the journey. And I think that what you suddenly realize is it's quite easy to sit in an office and go, oh, I don't like this, and blame other people and circumstances for your unhappiness. And then when you start taking that control and going, right, I'm going to be my own boss, or I'm going to start taking more responsibility, and that's what it is, kind of taking your life back, taking your sort of working day back, you do actually suddenly, and people respond in different ways to this, but you're the one now that's responsible for your happiness. It's not so easy to palm the blame off on anyone else. So quite often what happens, and I've had this time and time again in different scenarios, is you're like, if only I could change these circumstances, then I'll be happy. And eventually you manage to change those circumstances, and you get there, whether it's I'm going to move to a different country, which is my thing, or I'm going to change, I'm going to become my own boss, which again was my thing. And I did both those things. And in both cases, when it finally happened, I was just like, this isn't giving me the happiness I was expecting, because what you forget is that the one thing doesn't change is you. So all that crap that you were blaming everything else for, quite a lot of it, sometimes it is circumstantial, but an awful lot of it is in here. So then it's even worse, because now there's no one else to blame, and now you're the one that's going to have to take responsibility for it. And you've got that sort of like, I don't know, you go through different phases, don't you? It's just like, is there something wrong with me? Am I stuck in this forever? That's just how I am, until eventually you kind of go, no. Do you know what? I can do something about this, which means leaning into the discomfort. But then you start to realize, okay, but when I do that, things do actually start to change the way I feel about the situation. And that's ultimately what we need to do, is to be how we feel about something. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely an element of, kind of what I'm going through at the moment. It's like, but I used to sit in an office and have loads of time to think about all these other things that I would do, and now I can do all those other things. I'm still sitting in an office effectively, and either not quite doing them, or finding distractions in other ways. And it's like, but all these things I could do. So yeah, and I'm kind of flitting a bit between, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe if I still went and did that, I'd appreciate all the other things I can do a bit more. But yeah, it's just kind of getting used to it, I think, and finding out when I work best and where I work best, and a few little tips to, just start getting things done. So I've just been enjoying trying things out and going, oh, I had a really productive day today because I, went to this place and did 2 hours work there, and that just set me up for the day. So yeah, it's not like the perfect situation, I suppose, yet, but it's good. And I have been back to my workplace, and yeah, everyone said, you look so relaxed, and what are you doing now? And oh, I wish I could do that. To which I say, well, you could do that because I've done it, so there's no reason why you can't do that. So kind of going back in that environment, I feel grateful that I have, taken a step out of it, because even though, yes, I like the people, and it's, it's a nice environment, and it's good to go and be there. There are still the things that really frustrated me that are there that haven't changed, that would still frustrate me and still stop me doing the best thing that I could do.
Yeah. So I would say, in just what you've said there's a few things that spring to mind. First of all, it's that whole analogy of when a caged animal that's been caged all its life, and you put it in the middle of the jungle and you open the door and you set it free. It's just like, I need to stay in my cage, thanks. I know this is familiar. And in a way, so you've gone from sitting in an office all day to like, I'm going to be free. And then actually, no, I'm just going to go and recreate the office environment and just sit in there, because that's what I know. And it takes us a while, even though it's a change that we desire. When we get there, it's still change, and it's still unknown, and it's still new, which every human being it is kind of not comfortable with. So I think there's and that's what people don't realize. And that's why I say, you hope and you dream for this different way of, this kind of result you want in your life. And then you get there and you're like, this isn't how I was expecting it to feel. This is like, well, no, this is now the beginning. And so in your situation, you've taken yourself out of what you don't want, and so now begins a new journey of building and exploring and experimenting. It's not like that was going to be, and I think we put a lot of weight on that. If I can just get out of that, that's the thing that's making me unhappy. So without it, suddenly I will be happy. No, without that, you've taken away the bit that made you unhappy. Now, then it will give you the time and space to actually go and figure out and explore and experiment and find what does make you happy. And that's about creating a work day where you're getting yourself inspired and energized, and you're managing your energy levels, and you're keeping yourself engaged, and you're discovering that actually maybe at 3:00 you need to go for a walk, or whatever it is. Or on days where you're procrastinating and you're like, just feeling a bit listless, then maybe that's a day where you just need to feed up on inspiration. That's what happens with me. I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. Why am I even trying then? Stop. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
And the other word that came up when you said that, when you were talking about that, was permission. It's that we think, oh, because I'm in this stupid old job stuck in an office, I can't do this, and you're thinking of all the things you would do. You leave that job, but you're now the one that needs to give yourself permission to say this is allowed. And quite often we resist that, because there's often going on is a sense of betraying friends and family, of like, well, they weren't able to do, who am I to have this kind of luxury? And equate that with selfishness. And it's just like, why would that be selfish? And that's why I always live by the quote, which you will have heard me say a million times: don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who've come alive. And that was said by a wise man called Harold Whitman, I think in the 1950s, from America. He was a preacher and a philosopher. And I think that for me, whenever particularly in the early days where I was really caught up in the guilt of suddenly, even taking 2 hours for lunch, I'd be making it up by working till 7. I was like, who's watching you? According to who? Like, because if I didn't put that amount of time in, I was being lazy, and all this stuff. And it's just like, but that's why. Actually, here's another woman, Barbara Winter. She's brilliant. She's like the grandmother of career change, having a career off the beaten path sort of thing, doing your own thing. And she's based in the US, and she says that running your own business is the greatest sort of self-development, self-growth thing that you can do, because you have to, I think in order to create a successful business, you are forced to face up to all your own crap and limiting beliefs, because if you don't, that business is not going to flourish.
Yeah.
It's not going to go anywhere, because it's no longer in someone else's hands as well as yours. It's entirely in your own hands.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful, but it does mean if you're committed to, if you really want to live a life that you love and you really want to do work that you love, you have to accept, kind of embrace leaning into the discomfort and embrace the doubts and fears that are going to naturally come up, and kind of just start to ride them out and get curious about them. What's coming up now? Why is this coming up? Okay, how am I gonna work through this? So there are tools that help you to do that. And if you're doing that around your business and work, that's going to be also happening in other areas of your life as well. So
and it's I think there's a couple of things. One is trying to justify to family and friends that I'm actually working, and therefore kind of constructing the kind of 9 to 5 thing and sort of saying, oh no, I'm working. But then reminding myself that I can just pop out for a run in the daylight, because that's what I can do. So there's still a little bit of me that's sort of trying to say, no, I'm not just loafing around all day, just a little bit of the day when I want to. But I'm doing real stuff. And also I kind of compare it to when you're a student. And when you're a student, you can always study more. And I think like you said, you sort of, it gets to the evening and you think, well, what shall I do? It's like, oh, well, I'll just do a bit more. And it's, again, it's bringing in some discipline to say, well, you're not actually doing anything that productive. You are reading the internet or, doing social media, which is good and, fun, but it's not, it's not real work all the time. So, but sort of somewhere in my head, it's like, but I'm working, and then I'm, So just getting that balance and being able to say, no, the end of the working day is now, and I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important, even when you're at the stage where you're figuring stuff out, that you actually lay those foundations down, because and lay the foundations for later on when you're kind of, you have got lots of work going on. You want to make sure that you still have things in balance, so you're still creating time, like I was saying, for home life. And I'm so career focused for such a long time, which was fine when I was living on my own, because that's what I chose to do. But I got together with my partner now 2.5 years ago, and then we very quickly had a baby. And so suddenly it's not just me, it's my family that's also, I'm not just neglecting my own home time, I'm neglecting their home time. That just doesn't work anymore. So I'm having to kind of put those foundations in now, which is also fine. But I think that it's so important to recognize as well that time spent going for a run in the middle of the day actually has beneficial impacts on your way of thinking, on your mindset, and therefore on the success of your career or your business as you're growing it. So it's finding, what you're doing is you're laying the foundations for a successful, happy and fulfilled life.
And I did have a bit of a breakthrough.
24/7.
Because someone, wanted to meet, at sort of middle of the day today, and I said no because I wanted to fit my run in. And I was like, oh, I feel a bit naughty. And then I thought, well, they don't know that. That's my reason for not being able to do it. So I can just do that. Yeah.
But what you were saying before we started to do this video was that you were saying that you're allowing yourself to observe the ways you're reacting to this freedom that you've got. And I think that's a perfect way of doing it, because, and I had said to you as well off camera, that it's amazing when people dream of having this kind of freedom to not be going to the office every day. And then what I see time and time and time again, and I've been through it too, is you work so hard and you get there and you give yourself that freedom, and then you're like, oh, and just as I said, you know, you get something that you want, and then you're like, this isn't how I wanted it, I expected it to be. It doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like overwhelm, anxiety, guilt, and all these other things. And, you know, there's the happiness and excitement that I've done it, I'm doing it. But actually, most of the time, particularly in the early days, there's a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'm being a bit naughty, feeling like I'm slacking, feeling like I'm being lazy. When you've got a strong work ethic like you do, like I do, that really comes up and you realize actually the taskmaster wasn't necessarily the job you were in before, although I don't think it was the right job for you, but you brought it with you. You brought it to your home now. And so it's undoing that and actually challenging the limiting beliefs and just the beliefs that have you thinking that to go for a run at 12 and say to someone you can't meet them, then that's a bit naughty, or feeling guilty. It's just like, hold on, and redefining what success means to you and redefining what all these things mean to you, so that your definitions, just checking in, what kind of rules am I living by? Are they aligned with my true values, or are they just things that I've adopted from the society, from my family, from my friends? So which things do I need to just give back to them?
Yeah.
You keep them. You keep running with that if you want. But I'm going to allow myself to go running in the middle of the day, because actually it's what keeps me clear and sharp. And I have a far more productive day if I do that than if I stay slumped in front of the computer all day. Thinking that more time in front of the computer means more productive. And it doesn't. But we've been told, because schooling has drummed it into us, that you sit at your desk and you don't play around. And it's not playtime, and you have playtime at specific times, and playing outside those specific times is naughty. We're still living within that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's, you know, like I was saying at the start, a lot of it is about unlearning and then relearning. But that's the beauty of it as well. And once you get into the role of that, once you kind of get into that, into the dance of it all, you start to really enjoy it. But at the beginning, it's a sort of, it's quite tough, because it's not what you were expecting. You thought it was just going to feel free and wonderful.
Yeah. Which is why, I'm quite glad that I kind of caught myself noticing. And because I was like, oh, okay, I kind of, know what's going on. And although it still feels a little bit uncomfortable, you know, I can kind of do some processing and think, well, this is perfectly natural. And if you don't like it, you can change it.
Yeah, exactly. But don't be in too much of a rush to change out of a reaction to not wanting to feel uncomfortable.
No.
That's why, and it's great you've got that self-awareness. That's absolutely key. With that self-awareness, being able to sit with the discomfort and just observe it, you'll be absolutely fine. And it won't feel like this forever. After a while, you'll be like, right, I must go off my run. This is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Although sometimes you'll get pangs of it. I really shouldn't. I really should get on with doing some work. It's just like, no, kind of have a word with yourself. But it does get better.
Good. So are there any other final bits of advice or top tips that you would share with people, I guess, striving for the career or life that they love?
What would be my final top tips? Let me think about the situation you're in. I think it's recognizing that, making the big changes can be really, really important. But also to recognize that won't be the magic cure to everything. And that you will find that even when you make that change, there will be things that you need to do on a more personal level. You need to do inner work as well. So if you allowed yourself to be in a job for years where you're miserable, you need to go and do some work on, why did I allow that? What was it in me that thought that was okay, thought that was acceptable, to put myself through that? So, you know, and there's going to be some work to do with repairing your relationship with yourself, and to look at what your relationship with yourself is like, which is why it's such a key part of Project Love. Is actually so much of it is about cultivating a really strong relationship with yourself and tuning into what your heart is saying, and not looking out there all the time for cues on how you should be living your life, but listening to what's going on in here. And that's really the most important work you need to do. And sometimes it also means making big changes in your life, like changing your career and quitting your job, like you've done. And that's hugely courageous and really essential a lot of the time, to kind of live the life you really want to live, but also remember that on just as much it's doing work on the inside as well. You can't, and to lean into the discomfort. And then also when you're with other people, and to connect with other people, like-minded people who are on a similar journey, because then you realize, okay, this is hard for all of us at times, and we all need to lean into this discomfort. And then it's no longer a solo journey, and you start to realize, wow, I'm part of a really cool crowd of people in the world that are stepping out of the status quo and choosing to follow their own path. And we are courageous, and we do need to support each other. And then you start to realize you're part of a really cool tribe of people that are really changing things up. And then that becomes exciting. And then that makes the moments of discomfort and all part of a shared journey. And so I think that's really important. So seek out people on a similar journey, like-minded people, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I have a brilliant support group, which you know about, and it's really good to hear, people's ups and downs, and how people see their downs, which aren't really downs, they're just little blips along the way, and actually there's normally some positives that come out of them. And I guess reflecting on my experience as well is that it takes time to kind of move through the discomfort, or you don't necessarily have to make a decision, make a change in the period of a week. It's kind of been a long time coming, which now everything feels right. And yes, possibly it could have happened sooner, but actually I think doing the little steps along the way have really helped to make it feel as comfortable as it can do, and sort of to de-risk it as much as possible.
If you had done it sooner, the chances are you would have the discomfort would have had you rushing back into your old job before giving this a chance. So I think you made the change exactly at the time that was right for you. So it just does take time to put ourselves through these big changes, and that's fine.
And actually it gets better when you're making the steps. You're kind of going through the change because you're focused on other things rather than the big bad thing, whatever you're sort of trying to escape from or needing to change. But so you can cope with that a bit more, and you feel less need to make the rash decisions.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the moment you take the steps and start going, I'm going to make a change. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I am making steps towards it. I'm, going out and being proactive. It immediately means that you've taken this kind of never-ending, horrible, sort of like trudging line that you're going down with no end to it. Suddenly there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you've created that light with your intention of making a change, and then the momentum starts, and it does feel a lot better from that point on. So just commit to the change and then see what happens.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wise words.
Thank you.